Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all in there. Idle champions, you will set again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind Dale, head out to Choth or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will set again. Idle champions.
Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. Today, we have Gaarawarr's Guide to the Zorbu meta, following hot on the heels of last week's Ashara meta show. For those of you in chat, the codes don't go live until I actually appear on the screen. So you can hit a code all you want, but it's always going to be whatever the last show was, but it is now live. It's also on the screen now, so either way. So as we did last week, we're going to talk specifically just about Zorbu, how he functions, what makes him good as a DPS, that kind of stuff. We'll do that for roughly the first hour. Zorbu isn't quite as complicated, I would say. He's a complex individual, emotionally, but mechanically fairly straightforward. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the things that you got to do to get him kind of into his power curve, and maybe we'll be done a little early, and then we can do lots more of the Q&A. Now remember, you can ask questions at any time, but I'm not necessarily going to be answering them until we get to the Q&A portion of the show, and I will target the Zorbu related questions first, and then we'll do everything else. So that is how this show works. So I guess I should probably just pull Zorbu. Hold on. I've got a couple different pages here. I threw us into a free play for something that's kind of relevant to Zorbu. We'll get to that in a moment. But I guess we can just kind of bring him out. Let me pull Birdsong out. Everyone is leveled all the way up, so they don't need familiars on them. I didn't need to pull Birdsong out because Zorbu is a slot 12 champion. He's all the way down here on the end. I already had Melfin. Let me put him in his regular gear. Here we go. Zorbu, male gnome ranger. They have his alignment as chaotic good. And I think anyone that knows anything about Zorbu probably wonders how that works. At best, maybe neutral. At best, maybe neutral. He's a hateful little gnome. So Zorbu is just it says DPS support, but oh man, I can't recall. I think the last time I truly used Zorbu as a support was before he got reworked into his current iteration. The original iteration of Zorbu was a lot more like Minsk. It was a lot more like Minsk, but targeted different favored enemies. And that really wasn't doing anything for people. For the same reasons Minsk kind of falls off a bit. So they reworked him. It was kind of hot on the heels. I say that, but it was that's my way of saying it was after Black Viper had come out. And Black Viper had introduced this idea of like permanent stacks. Like you do things, you count up numbers and you carry them from one adventure into another, and they give you bonuses forever and ever. Black Viper was, an okay version of that. She had fixed stack bonuses, and eventually there was an end to those bonuses. So with Zorbu, they tried something a little different. So they said, well, what if we just give a bonus per stack, and then we just don't cap it at all, and we just let it run forever and ever and ever. And then we'll make another ability that buffs that ability, and like makes that ability work for everything, and even Zorbu himself. And let's see what happens. And thus began the original Zorbu meta, where Zorbu became king of DPS, because when you let things multiply like that and then just count for all the stacks, even with a bit of a drop off over time, it was a pretty big deal. Now, nothing has changed about Zorbu since then. What changed was one of the champions that Zorbu works very well with, Krull, had a bug fix that brought Krull more into how he had been designed to work, which was still strong, but Ashara had been adjusted before that. See last week's episode as to how, and she kind of took off as the DPS of choice. So Ashara currently number one DPS in the game, and at the meta, a meta DPS in the game. Zorbu's still rocking the king of DPS title because Ashara is the queen, so he still gets to keep his crown. He's just now in the second position, which means he's a good go-to for when you're not able to use Ashara, but Zorbu's available. So in those kind of situations, you still have one of the best DPSs in the game, and you can rock Zorbu. And we're going to talk about how. We're going to talk about how today. All right. So I guess I should probably start leveling Zorbu up. Again, I don't know that I would go. You could probably try to pull off a Zorbu support somewhere, but because I feel like early on, before you've built up his lifelong enemies numbers, might function okay as a support. But ultimately, Zorbu, I've tried to use Zorbu support in the past, and even when I've put him in a support position and built a formation around someone else, Zorbu ended up with the highest DPS. He's just that strong at times. So keep that in mind. The kind of the core functionality of Zorbu here is his lifelong enemies at level 30. He tracks his kills against certain enemies, specifically humanoid, beast, undead, and drow, and does 0.01% more damage against each of these enemies for each kill against that enemy type. Tracks across resets. So 0.01% doesn't sound like much, but there's multipliers and things that are going to go in and help make this a big deal. Plus, as I said before, infinite stacks if you want. You don't need it. You don't need it. We'll talk. My numbers are fairly high here. I've got anywhere from E5 to E7 kills, but this isn't... When people talk about, like, well, how many kills do I need on Zorbu? Generally speaking, once you get into the EO5 range, so 1 EO5, which is 100,000, once you've killed 100,000, you've got 100,000 credit for each of these, you're in that kind of, okay, now he's doing solid damage. Now he's doing solid damage kind of zone. Before that, he might be a little unimpressive. And anything above that is like gravy, like just frosting on the cake. And you'll accrue a lot more just over time by using him. So, don't necessarily worry about that. Now, this on its own doesn't make Zorbu, I guess, the king of DPS. Because, as it says, he tracks kills against certain enemies and does more damage against those enemies. Well, that would make him a lot like Minsc, where he would only be good against Humanoid, Beast, Undead, and Drow. And that's not the situation. He has another ability that works along with this. And here we go. Seething Hatred. When I said he was a hateful little gnome, I wasn't kidding. Seething Hatred increases the damage of Zorbu by 1% of his aggregate lifelong enemies' buffs. So, he gets 1% of this just as his own damage. Just as his own damage. Against everything. Including this. So you're double dipping on these because he's raising his base damage and then you're getting this on top of it. He's raising it by a percentage of these numbers, and then you get this on top of it against these specific ones. So is he best against these 4? Yes. But those kills still function as a boost for him here because of Seething Hatred. But wait, there's more. Hunter's Pack. Increases the damage of champions adjacent to Zorbu by 1% if they have a dexterity score of 15 or higher. Also affects Zorbu himself. So Hunter's Pack is just like, hey, Zorbu, I heard you wanted to be a support, but you really just wanted to support yourself. Like, that's, and it's good to support yourself, in general in life, but, this was a support ability for other people, and they just gave it to him too, and it's like, oh, okay, sure, bonus, he'll take it. The numbers you're seeing here, keep in mind, the percentages are based off my gear, so they're going to be a little out of whack for most people. And the base numbers are much lower. The base numbers are much lower. But he does okay, so if we look at gear for just a hot minute. He gets self-damage. He gets a double self-damage, which tells you he's not a support. If he was a DPS support, he would have had a deep self-DPS item and a damage all champions item. They didn't do that. They gave him doubled self-damage. So they went all in. They knew the support tag was just a nod and wasn't real. He gets a Seething Hatred bonus. So again, hey, let's make those buffs even bigger on yourself. He gets a Hunter's Pack bonus. Then it goes into his ultimate and his ultimate cooldown, and we'll talk about those. Those aren't as big a deal for Zorbu, but they're cute. As already says, previous stated, lifelong enemies is kind of the core, and the fact that he gets Seething Hatred to just buff himself based off 1% of this is like his bonus. So obviously he's tracking his kills. Obviously that's a lot of kills. His specializations though make it easier. So he's got Lead the Pack, Favorite Enemies, and Focused Anger. When you first get Zorbu, I've seen a lot of people talk about, well, I got Zorbu, I threw him in, he didn't really do much. Like, he wasn't really strong. This was even before the Ashara change, like, before Ashara came up in the world. And the reason is they weren't, whenever you get a champion, you have to get their upgrades into kind of a place where they're starting to feel themselves and have like stronger power. For Zorbu, usually, you 100% need to get past this. You need to have enough gold and level him up at least to get him to 90. When I was comparing it the last time, I was trying to see where he kind of came into his own and surpassed some of the other DPS champions before the Ashara meta. I had to get him up to like 130 ish. So keep in mind, he doesn't really come into his strength until you start getting up his upgrades up there pretty decently. But 100% you need to be able to get here, because Focused Anger is how you want to build up those kill stacks, those lifelong enemies. You don't want to farm lifelong enemies if you haven't chosen this specialization, because you're wasting your time. and be efficient in this game, right? So when Zorbu kills an enemy, it increases the lifelong enemy's counter by 3. So so you're getting triple credit with Focused Anger. So whenever you're trying to build his stacks, you want to be here. You want to be in Focused Anger. So when you first get him, this is where you put him until you've got, in the EO5 range, so over 100,000 stacks across all of his favorite enemies. Now, I want to point out, with the favorite enemies, it is humanoids, undead, beasts, and drow. Drow are humanoids. So you don't need to separately focus humanoid and drow. You can just focus undead, beasts, and drow. You can just focus on those 3. You can do 3 farming sessions, because you're gonna get credit for both humanoid and drow when you're killing drow. So far, undead is separate. I haven't seen undead beasts, but who knows? Maybe they'll add something like that. But usually undead are just undead, and beasts are just beasts. So keep that in mind. So Focus Anger, farming. Once you've gotten over EO5 kills, you swap over to Lead the Pack. Lead the Pack increases the effect of Hunter's Pack by the total bonus given by Seething Hatred. So again, we're taking a Hunter's Pack. That's his this buff, this adjacent to Zorbu. That's his support buff technically, but he supports himself with it, right? And it buffs it by the bonus you're getting from Seething Hatred, which is the thing that's building off of your lifelong enemies. So once again, you're buffing lifelong. You have lifelong enemies. You get Seething Hatred, which gives you more lifelong enemies. Like, it's built off this. It's just chains into itself. And then they're making Hunter's Pack chain into the lifelong enemies too. They're just dipping it over and over and over again into these outrageous number of kills that you have. And this is what makes Zorbu really start to take off once you get him into that kill zone. So Lead the Pack, that's the DPS. Favorite enemies exists. It exists. It increases the effect of Zorbu's lifelong enemy's ability by 100%. I don't know. Yeah. It's there. I for years, those of us in the community have been trying to figure out, like, when you would use this. Like, what's the best scenario for this? And I don't know that anybody's come up with anything that's actually makes sense. Because if you don't have lots of kills, you're farming kills. You should be farming kills. Even if you're trying to push and complete stuff, you should be getting triple credit for your kills. And once you have the kills, you should be leading the pack. So this exists. It was supposed to kind of exist somewhere in between those, and it just didn't do it. Didn't really do anything. What are we gonna be? Oh, I'm gonna do Focused Anger today, because again, hateful little gnome, hateful angry little gnome. Let's ramp him up all the way to the top. Take a look. So Focused Anger. Hey, after that, what do you know? Absolutely nothing. It's just they just go all in on those things. Triple dip. This is why I said Zorbu's not super complicated. He's not super complicated. He likes to kill humanoids, beasts, undead, and drow. He will eradicate them from the face of Toril, if he can. Yeah, he's a little monster. But that's all of it. That's Zorbu, right? His ultimate is a mechanical squirrel. Yeah. So it's an odd thing for a ranger to have. He winds up a small mechanical squirrel and sends it skittering towards a random enemy. Let's hide all these so you can see. Watch it. It's not gonna be super big here, folks. You know what? Let's take some of these out so that there's a bit of a build up. I do want to talk about his basic attack because it's important to the way he works. All right, here we go. Look at it go. And then it just blew up on the egg sack. It didn't even attack one of these things. It figures. All right. Now, if they had made Zorbu a single target champion, I think he probably would have been somewhat balanced. But instead, Zorbu's base attack is Massive Bolt. He fires a bolt from his massive crossbow to random enemy, dealing damage to all. And when he says all, it doesn't mean all characters on the screen. It means everything in that crossbolt line. So when you see that line shoot out, anything it passes through, it's doing damage to. As you can expect, this is great for wave clear. This is great for wave clear. So when enemies are building up on your tank and then you just want to demolish them all, he's gonna do it. He's gonna do it for you. I should probably get back to speed farming, so we can try to get a little further and demonstrate some. Wait, where do we want to go? We want to go potions of speed. Yeah, this is gonna be super fast, folks. So yeah, he shoots the things with his big crossbow. Just kind of blows everything up, and that's Zorbu. That's his full kit. Feats, he kind of goes, he has some interesting feats and functionality. I say interesting because usually you don't see this kind of crossover, but he obviously has his self-damage feats. That's a big deal. He does have some support feats with the damage all champions, but then of course he goes into Hunter's Pack, right? He's got 2 different Hunter's Pack feats, so again, they're just multiplying these things for you if that's what you have at first. And then he has an intelligence feat. He has Keen Mind. This is a big deal because normally his intelligence is 12, which is 1 off what you need for Strahd. So you can use this feat to make Zorbu viable for Strahd. But more importantly, if we come in and we look at patrons and we look at Strahd's perks, Strahd has a bonus here called Best and Brightest. So he increases the damage of champions with int 13 or higher by 150%. Well, that means that by slotting that intelligence feat in Zorbu and putting him at 13, you're effectively slotting a feat that gives him 150% more damage. So that +1 int feat is effectively a self-damage boost for Zorbu of 150% to go along with the other one you get from Hunter's Pack. That's pretty amazing, right? Like there aren't any feats that there are some pretty high damage feats. They're usually epic feats, right? But we don't have like stat feats. You get overlooked a lot, but in this case, this stat feat is kind of perfect for him. So once you have that unlocked on Strahd, you run Keen Mind and this 80%. The Ceramorph Hunter comes with that. You can get that for 50k gems. It was part of the Ceramorph Zorbu skin, which I was rocking earlier. Let's go back to the Gnome Ceramorph. There we go. There's also a Steampunk Zorbu skin in one of the patron shops. It's pretty neat, but I went for the little laser zappy zap one because Mind Flayers, right? Mind Flayers. So that's basically, this is how you build out Zorbu if you want to get, all the massive damages. But ultimately, it comes down to going out and farming all those kills. So where do you do that? Oh yes, the +1 int feat also qualifies him for Modron bonuses. Thank you. That's a more recent addition, and I always forget about that. But yeah, that's also a nice damage boost too. So once you get those activated. So how do you go about killing all the stacks? I mean, you could just throw him in and use him, and he'll build stacks up slowly. But generally speaking, what you do is you look for solid farming locations. So adventures or variants that really provide a large number of the things that he wants, preferably in ways that make it easy to kill, like screenfuls of them at a time. This is functional in a couple instances. I've got some notes, and I've got a guide to Zorbu. I think everybody knows I've got a guide to like all the champions, that it has notes and things on them like this. So again, you want to shoot for EO5 plus stacks. So I've got the math wrong in my 100,000. Why did I put 10,000? I need to edit that. 100,000 stacks, but farming locations for beasts. There's lots of free plays you can run with beasts. However, in my experience, the #1 best place, and it's going to require a little bit of RNG, or wait for the Great Modron March event, but Jaheira, in Jaheira's time gate, and in her adventures in the event, there is a variant called an Unkindness of Ravens. It is hands down the best place to farm beasts. Hands down. Basically, every time you kill a raven, 2 more spawn in its place. And eventually, that's all that's spawning on the screen is ravens. And you've got 100 ravens on the screen. And you just, 100 ravens. Kill 100 ravens. Kill 100 ravens. Over and over and over and over again. The reason I have EO7 kills for beasts is because I just left it. I just left it on that for like a week. Back before Modrons. Like in lots of speed stuff. I just let it go. Worked real well. Worked real well for beasts. For undead, there is in Avernus, for the wrecked flying fortress adventure, there's a variant called Relentless Peril. There are a couple things like this now, but this one's just, it isn't bound on an event. So if you haven't done Relentless Peril yet, make sure you farm up Zorbu there, because it's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of situation. You get lots and lots of these undead, but in this case, when they die, they respawn again after a few seconds, and eventually, that's all that's on the screen is undead, and then they're literally doing this. They're falling down, they're getting up, they're falling down, they're getting up, and every time he shoots, it's pretty fantastic. For drow and humanoids, you kind of come here. Generally speaking, there may have been a better one for drow since, but I may not have noted it because I don't necessarily keep my eyes open for this. But usually drow, you come here. Silken Swamp, the free play, level 30, and its increments like 80, 130, 180, etc., etc. Lots of drow. You can just farm. You just turn off auto progress and you sit on that level. That was what we were gonna do here. I was trying to push deep enough where Zorbu was the only thing that was killing things. We're almost there. Like here, it's just drow. It's a boss level. Here, hold on. Come back. Boom. See, just drow, over and over again. Oh, there's one random thing here, but lots of drow. They just come out. You kill them. It's real easy. The reason I did this is because there isn't like a massive wave that's going to build up. So Zorba's just going to kill stuff. Zorba's just going to kill things. You can remove, you basically remove everything until Zorbu is the only thing that's killing things. Add back whatever you need. Hold on, who else do we need to put back in here? Do we need a little more damage? You just find a little more damage until you can actually kill everything. There we go. Do I need... Here. And then I'll throw in like a healer to keep the tank topped off. And you basically just create a situation where you could fully AFK from this, ideally. And they kill over and over. I need a little more damage. So I probably would use somebody other than... Alright. But yeah, you fiddle with your formation when you're setting up these farming situations. Until you have the most damage. I like it if I can make it so that it activates like this with Shandy. And they don't touch the front line. It takes a little bit more fiddling to find that type of perfect situation. Let's see if we can... Hold on, I'm going to do this a different way. I prefer that situation, personally, because I want Shandy's effect to kick in. I want all the speed effects to kick in. I want my speed potions. I want things going as quickly as possible. So whatever situation you have to do to get yourself killing everything before they attack you, do it. Do that. I'm not gonna fiddle with this forever. You get the idea. You basically just want to kill them every time they load out like this. But see, now I really want it to work right. Dang it, me and my perfectionist streak. Okay. That should do it. Yeah. That works. So you keep this going, and you just let it run, and then you AFK. I recommend stacking potions so that you're getting like 10x speed for as long as you can. That's going to basically make it so you don't have to run as much. And then you're good. What's really kind of throwing this off is that they load in from different angles. And again, Zorbu is not a screen-wide AoE. So he's got to shoot off multiple bolts. And you can fiddle with this a bit. Maybe putting him in the middle will clear it better. Yeah, there we go. That's clearing him a little better because of the angles. The way the angles, because wherever you place him is literally going to angle that bolt across the screen. So, if you want to adjust for, a little more optimal situation, you can put him into different positions, maybe a little further back as necessary. Like, we could probably move him even further. Well, we could, but I've got people in there that like to be behind him. Set those up for whatever you're doing, and then farm. Just make sure that if you have to sit on a specific level, even on anywhere that you're sitting and you're going to sit forever, make sure that if your tank is getting damaged, that you've got a healer in that can sustain that damage over time, and that will help you out. If you run into a better variant, use it. These aren't the only ones that are available. New variants are coming out all the time. They've added some recently. I mean, I saw one a couple months ago, and I was like, oh, they want me to Zorbu farm beasts again, because it was another thing like an Unkindness of Ravens, where it just became an infinite spawn of beasts. But I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not killing. I've got enough kills on Zorbu. I'm good. So keep those in mind. Most people in the community know where these are. It's not a big deal. You can just ask if you forget, or you can check the guide. Again, the big thing I recommend is making sure that you set up, make sure that auto progress is off. If you are doing this on something where you're using offline progress, like on mobile or tablets or console, you make sure that you have turned off auto progress in the settings, so that when it goes into that offline mode, it doesn't turn auto progress back on and move you forward, because that's not what you want. That's not what you want in this situation. So specifically, that is under settings. Down here at the bottom, always auto progress while offline. Make sure that's unchecked if you're going to be farming offline. One note about offline farming, offline progress, it is not as accurate as being live and online. Because remember, offline progress is running a simulation. You will get kills. You will stack farm on Zorbu. But if you're trying to figure out how many should I be killing in this amount of time, it's not going to be accurate. So you can build it up. It's just not necessarily in the same way as if you're doing this online like I'm doing right now. Which, if we come over here, I think I have way too many to even track this. Yeah, I've got too many for this to show up. But ideally, this number goes up. Ideally, this number goes up the longer I stay here. But it's going to take a while at 10 at a time. That's why it's so nice to find places where they spawn and then die and then get back up again, so that you just have like 100 of them on the screen. So every time he's firing off, he's killing 100 and 100 and 100 and 100. That's what makes those so great. That's it, folks. That's Zorbu. Who works well with Zorbu? Everyone. Frankly. I mean, anybody that provides a large buff for him works with Zorbu. I mean, obviously not everyone, but you want to work with whatever your largest buffers are. I will tell you that, one of the things that makes Zorbu great is pairing him with his buddy Crawl. Because again, we're just going to go pain here because it doesn't really matter for what we're doing. Paired him with his buddy Krull, not for farming like this, but for deep pushing, because Krull will stack up all of his plagues. Zorbu hits everything that the bolt goes across, so Zorbu's always going to be triggering. If there's a stack of enemies on the tank, which is what you want for Krull, you want that buildup. When Zorbu fires across, he's going to trigger Traitor on everything and things just explode, right? So Zorbu works very well with Krull, because AoEs in general work very well with Krull, but also the fact that Zorbu is just attacking everything in a line. So he's always going to hit. He's always going to hit something that when there's a stack of enemies, he's always going to hit something that has plagues on it. Unlike, say, a Jarlaxle or a Catti-Brie, who attack the furthest thing away from them. Yeah. So, man, we did this super fast, but that just means we have lots of time. Lots and lots and lots of time for Q&A. So we're gonna do our Q&A. So we'll take a short break. There is a bardic inspiration song for Zorbu. It's called "Hate Makes You Cold." Imagine that. So we're gonna listen to that, and then I'll be back. So if you have questions, you can throw them in the chat. We've got a bunch of them already up here that Martin has pulled, and I will get to them when we come back.
No. All right. Here we go again for real. The Song of Zorbu. I grew up underneath the mountain slope so tall. Never thought that one mistake could take away it all. I live a ranger's life but never heard the call. I will avenge my family until the day I fall. Bodies hit the floor, my temper short, and my list of fools is long. I'll cleanse the underdog of all who's done me wrong. You grow. A ranger's life is right for me. It's more precious than your gold, but I trade it all away to just go home. I feel the emptiness flowing through my veins. It's all you're left with late at night, when your hatred holds the reins. But I still could feel an ocean made of pain. Past so far behind, it'll never be the same. Tell me everything. makes you grow. The ranger's life is right for me. It's more precious than your gold. But I trade it all away to just go home. Oh.
And we're back, folks. All right, I'm going to try to address questions about Zorbu that came in during that abbreviated tutorial. And we'll go from there. Is there any effective way to farm the lifelong enemy stacks? I think we covered that. Yeah, you've got to go to one of these places, set up basically a kill box, and let him do his hateful, murderous thing against all of the enemies that are coming in line. Right? That's how he works. God, I feel like I need to just add one more buff to this to make sure that they're never touching that front line. But who do we... It's got to be the same line. Yeah, Keelik. Keelik will work. This kind of... Sword Coast is just the perfect place for Keelik. Up in a corner like this. Up in the corner like this. Because all of the outward ones, this is now a Keelik tutorial. All of these outward ones now count as 2 away. So it just maximizes the buffers. They're just all dying. I don't know that Zorbu is necessarily the one that's all killing them, but they're all dying now. That works for me. All right. What do we got? Does Zorbu farm kills even if he's not in your main party? So if you have him in a background party, yes. But again, it's only if he's the one getting the killing blow. And it's going to be slower than if he's in your active party. So if you really want Zorbu, if you really want to get Zorbu into his kind of power curve of kills, so 100,000 kills or more, you should just do it in an active party with speed potions and get it over with. Get it over with. Again, it's got to be, you're gonna have to do 3 runs. So one drow, 1 undead, and 1 beast. I think people used to be like, well, just put on an epic potion and leave it for a day. So that would be like 3 days. It depends on how fast you're killing, right? What else we got that's just thing? Is it the same thing if I have 5 E5 humanoids and 5 E5 undead and 1 E6 beast? Is it necessary to build his kills equally? You can't build his kills equally, frankly. I'm just saying you should probably aim for that threshold for each of at least EO5 each. I mean, even mine aren't equal because, in general, you're killing a lot of humanoids in this game, and they're not all drow. So humanoids will always end up trending above drow. And then it just depends on what your focus. Like, where did you farm? So, like, I have EO7 kills on beasts and undead because of those levels I said were really good that just give you endless waves of them. Whereas my drow are far lower, but my humanoids are a lot higher because there's just lots of humanoids in the game. So just remember, once you hit that EO5, just using him is going to stack up more kills. You don't have to go with the right spec then. You go to the left spec and kill away. Kill away. Oh yeah, I kind of addressed that when it came up. For Zorbu beast farming, which level? Oh, beasts was an unkindness of ravens, which is a Jaheira variant from the Great Modron March. So if you run a Jaheira time gate, you have a 1 in 3 chance of getting it. Or you can wait until the Great Modron March comes around. Is she still... hold on. Yeah, she should still be available. Let me double check, though. Let me double check that she still shows up in that event. But again, there'll be other places that you can do it, all the time. It doesn't have to just be in this situation, but yeah, Chihira's a year 3 champion, so that event will roll around again. But that's like, we just passed that like 4 events ago, so it's going to be a while. So you may have to find somewhere else to do it before that. Do kills from ultimates count towards accumulated totals? I've honestly never tracked it, because if you're setting up a formation and farming, you're setting it up to efficiently function like this, where when his bolt comes out, it eradicates everything that it hits. You're not necessarily worrying about trying to like, oh, I'm gonna kill with the ultimates. It would be easy to test. You can set it up if he's not killing everything. That would be odd, but for him to not to be able to kill things with his attack and then his ultimate does. But it could happen. It could happen. But usually you just want to set it up so that this is what's going on. And if you, again, you can check. If you don't remember the zones that I said, you can always ask in the Discord. People pretty much have this, like they can copy paste in and tell you where it is or link to it or whatever. Otherwise, it's listed in my guide to Zorbu on the subreddit. Yeah, some people are saying that any kill that is tied to Zorbu counts, even stuff like Bay Loss Explosion buff. Good to know. Again, whenever I've farmed like this, I've just always set it up so that it's just nuking everything. Because you get to choose your level, folks. You get to choose your level. So just find a way to set up your formation so that you're nuking everything in those one-shots and you're good. It didn't take me a long time to do this here. And I wasn't even really trying to make it as efficient as possible. But yeah, I mean, ultimately my goal here was to have Shandy in for speed, to have a healer that could heal up my tank in case they reach the tank line, but ultimately I don't want them on my tank line. But when you're doing the things like the Relentless Undead and stuff, they're going to end up, you want them stacking up on your tank line, so keep that in mind. Somebody did mention, if you're farming Zorbu, why not go ahead and farm Torrigar as well? Yeah. I mean, if you've got Torrigar, but you don't wait to farm Zorbu till you've got Torrigar. If you don't have him yet, just farm Zorbu. Just farm Zorbu if that's what you have. Is it not worth it to go to a non-boss stage and throw Minsk in there? Again, you do whatever you want. It's my recommendation to go here because it's... I can set up for quick kills. I don't have to worry about things touching my tank, really, if I set it up this way. I don't have to ever worry about being overwhelmed, and I can safely go AFK for a day or a week on this level if I want, and it's just going to tick up the kills. It's a time thing, right? Like I want to kill, and I want to move, and then I want to kill again as quickly as possible. Which is why we've got Deacon and Shandy, right? Deacon's going to increase some spawn speed. If you timed this out perfectly, you'd have Melfin on a level where he's buffing his spawn speed too. Well, no, you can't because Melf is in his slot. Oh, wishful thinking. So yeah, Deacon and Shandy, and a speed Modron, like the fast Modron, and then just kill away. You don't really. Yeah. I just want to kill and have them respawn as quickly as possible, and this does that for me. And grouped up pretty well. If you already completed the Unkindness of Ravens variant, will it appear again for use during the next Modron March event? No, if you've already completed variants, they don't show up in events, ever. However, you can go fishing for it in time gates, because remember, if you've completed all the variants, a time gate still gives you a random variant when you try it. So you could go fishing for it. You could pop a time gate for Jaheira, see if you get it, but there's no guarantee you'll get it. So you may have to fall back on something else. Again, I should have made a note of the other event that was like that. Someone probably has. You can ask in the Discord, but there was another event variant like that, and there are other places where you can do that stuff like this, where they're just regular spawns and you're killing lots of drow. It just slows things down a little bit, but you can do it. All right, I think that's everything that's specifically about Zorbu. So we'll just go into general ones. Can you confirm or deny the new Icewind Dale Evergreen is oral? I have no clue. I'm not a direct employee of Codename Entertainment, so I have no idea. Even if I had that information, I couldn't do either of those. I couldn't confirm or deny it. That's not a question you'll ever get answered unless they're ready to spill the beans, and then they're going to do it. I'm not. I think you said that there's no major reason to do the free plays over and over during a time gate. Am I remembering correctly? Yeah. I think I missed the point you were making. Well, in a time gate, free plays don't... time gates and events are different. A lot of people think they can go into a time gate and they can do what they do in events, which is churn free plays to 50 and get lots of chests. And that's not how time gate works, because these are not the same thing. For a time gate, you have to push to get rewarded. So every unique 100 levels thresholds you meet, the first time you meet it, you get 1 silver chest, and that's it. The higher you go, so you can just grab lots and lots of silver chests, but there's no need to do free plays in a time gate over and over again unless you're just really focused on favor for some reason out of a time gate. But keep in mind, time gate favor bonuses are a quarter of what an event bonus is, so it's not. You have to work 4 times as hard, and that's not a thing. You're not going to push. You're not going to get a 4-time bonus just to get there, or you'd do that in events too, right? So yeah, it's less reward for favor, and thus less of a reason to run them over and over and over again. A bit of an OCD question, but I'm at 89% of Mert's unique items unlocked, but I'm pretty sure I have everything. Only thing is Zorbu's buyable skin. Does that count? It does not count. So let me go look at Mert. It's most likely something for a champion you don't own, so it's not showing up. So we've got Feats, Brunor you'd have. There's a blessing. There's a feat for Keelik. So if you don't have Keelik, this probably wouldn't show up. There's a skin for Dritzt. If you don't have Dritzt, that's not going to show up. There's a feat for Spurt. If you don't have Spurt, that may not show up. There's Siren Knight Warden. But this one should show up no matter what. And then there's the GE for Olcoria. So, they're saying the blessings show up even if you don't own the champ. Okay. Well, then it should all be through here. It only counts these things at the bottom. So everything you're seeing here that I've purchased. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Are there 9? Yeah. 9 things. 9 things. And it tops off. It does not count the Steampunk Zorbu skin because I don't own that and I'm at 100%. So, yeah. Oh yeah, if you hit unavailable items, then they don't show up. So there you go. So yeah, just make sure this checkbox up here is empty, and you'll always see everything. And you'll always see everything. Yeah, that's not a question. I have 50k gems. What do you think would be a better feat purchase? Freely's Adventurous Tales feat or the feat for Ashara's Bonds? Ashara's Bonds, because Freely's Adventurous Tale one is currently broken, I believe. Yeah. Regardless, Ashara's Bonds would be better because you're not always pushing for favor, but you are always trying to kill things. So get that damage on Ashara. EGS player here. For the free time gate, I got Warden, Talon, and Benwyn. Who should I choose? Warden. It's the same thing if I have Oh, we already did this one. Yeah, I did this one already. Kind of off topic. Do I risk my account being banned if I use an auto-clicker software? No, but you... well, it depends. Here's the thing. Outside software stuff, whether it's an auto-clicker or scripting or whatever, it's not officially supported in this game. They do have a chat room you can use because they're benevolent overlords. They've given you places to talk about it in the Discord, but that's the only place you can talk about it, is in that chat room. So anytime you're going to use that kind of stuff, anything related to scripting of any kind, which is what I just kind of clock that under, goes in that chat room. The kind of limitation is that they've said that is problematic is if you're doing something that makes gameplay worse for other people, so something that causes problematic interactions with the game servers because of the way you've set up stuff, you're gonna get in trouble. That's where they draw the line. I've heard there's a champion who has a chance to reduce the shields of enemies. Shields don't have enemies, so I'm assuming what you're talking about is armor, armored segments, and segmented health. That's what enemies have, and that's going to be Human. Human in one of their setups. Excuse me. Every time. It's down here under please stand by, right? Yes. Cleave. So if you've got Cleave active and please stand by, hits-based enemies have a 50% chance of spawning with a quarter of their hits already gone, rounded down. That's the one you're looking at. So basically, as long as you are not in the middle of the formation with Human, this should be active, I believe. Hold on, let me move him to the middle. Them to the middle. Yeah, right? Yeah, that makes that inactive. All right, so either front or back for that bonus. Who is just for bosses, right? What? No. Human changes what they do based off where they're placed in the formation. It's your job to go understand what they're going to do. So, like, teamwork is based off who's on top, and that's based off where they are, and you get one buff for teamwork. But please stand by gives you 2 smaller buffs based off who isn't on top. So there's different combinations of things that Human can do, and Human's ultimate changes based off where they are in the formation too. So you have to read through Human and figure out what you're looking for and adjust Human's placement accordingly. As a new player, if you were to buy 1 or 2 champs, who would you recommend? I've only experienced 1 event and 1 time gate. Is this still? Hold on, I've got to go look and see if the pack I'm thinking of is still here. And it isn't. Did I buy it? I may have bought it. I can't tell if the pack is still in the store. There was an Avern pack. Is the Avern pack still in the store? There was like a $10 Avern pack in the store, if I remember correctly. I broke it, didn't I? If it's still in the store, that's a good one. Avern is solid. And usable until they nerf him or they put in someone better than Avern. So that's one. There are, depending on how much you're looking to spend. Hold on. Depending on how much you're looking to spend, though, there are these other packs, these Champions of Renown packs. They give you a group of champions, and they're all pretty good groups. And Avern is in one of those groups. And I actually, that's the one that I didn't buy that, did I? I guess I did. It was on sale recently, and I bought it. So there's one that has Avern in it, along with Krull and some other good people. So yeah, I mean, these packs all have good groupings of usable champions, like even Zorbu's in the year one. So it's really just kind of about like what your disposable income is and what you're looking to spend. But Those packs are worth it for new players if you want to get a group of functional champions all at once, and you can afford that. Otherwise, you can grab single packs. Like I said, Avern's a good single, like a $10 pack to go. Anyway, to quickly get back to Area 1, there's no jump button. Yeah, shift click the arrow. If you hold down shift and you click here, I'm not going to do it because I want to stay on this level, but if I shift and click right on this, it jumps me all the way back to 1 on this, and then I can click on 1. Can you tell me about some good formations for Descent into Avernus with Zorbu? So, Arston, here's the problem with that question for me trying to answer it for you. I'm not in an Avernus, so I can't really show you a formation for Avernus. Even then, Zorbu is, to a certain extent, Zorbu is formation agnostic, which means it doesn't really matter who you're putting with him. He's not like Ashara. This is what made Zorbu such an easy DPS, and still makes him an easy DPS for people. What he wants is just to kill things, and anyone you put in with him is going to do that. So you have a massive amount of freedom with who you put in. That being said, as always, when you build a formation, you want to build the best formation possible. So you want a front line of solid tanks, and then you want to follow up how you build out the rest based off the rules of, like, those tanks. How far do they buff? Like, if you've got someone that only buffs into the column right behind, then that's where Zorbu's got to go, and then you've got to build around that. So set up your tank line. Zorbu can go wherever the tanks need him to go, and then you build out all of your supports around that. So my answer is more that you should, functionally look at who you're using as your tanks, place Zorbu according to that, and then build the rest of the formation around that layout. That's general formation strategy 101. Yesterday someone mentioned a code to unlock Deacon. Are there any other codes like that? Not that I know of. That was a recent thing that they did that was nice. I think there may have been one for Evelyn, now that I say that. Or maybe there were just chests for Evelyn, but I'm not sure if that one's still active. That one might have been a limited time. Those aren't something that I necessarily... The Evelyn code expired. Yeah, Briv was the during the Red Panda week. But again, I don't think those were ongoing things. I think those were limited time things. Whereas Deacons, for whatever reason, has remained active. Yeah, Briv and Evelyn have expired, is what Martin's saying. Because I have all the champions on my main account, those type of things don't always stick in my mind as well. Although I have been trying to grab stuff on my new player account that I'm running right now. It's not the Deacon's a bug. They just, when you create a code, you create a start, an activation date, and an end date. So it all just depends on, well, there may be some codes out there that exist forever, but depending on what date was put in. But usually it's targeted for specific time periods. Like the codes you get from these streams, like this one right now, usually good for a week. That's it. Grab them, use them in that week period, or else nothing. Oh yeah, and as always, you can get Hitch for free by signing up for the newsletter. In game, just go to the menu. Is 4E5 or so on one type effectively the same as 1E05 on all of them? except against those specific types. So now we're putting a qualifier in, because the answer right off the bat is no. Except against those specific types. Do you get more benefit? Because they're aggregating, as long as they're adding the total up for the other buffs, and that's the big multiplier, it's probably the same as having 4 at 1 EO5, but because you get to double and or triple dip against the favored enemies, you really want to get EO5 on all of them. At least one EO5 on all of them. When is the right time to reset if you can't quite reach the required stage? Wow. So basically, when you're pushing, if you can't reach the zone that you need, like that they've given you as the target level, the one thing you do is when you get to that point where your formation dies, like it gets overrun by whatever is in there, then you need to kind of look and see if there are any adjustments you can make to your formation to push further. Like, was it an ideal situation? Did you build your formation out correctly? That's job number 1. And then job number 2 is like, okay, am I really close to an upgrade for my DPS or for any of the support champions that would buff my DPS to let me push further? If so, you can hang out a little bit, farm a little more gold, get that upgrade, and then try and go further. But if not, then once you hit that wall and you can't go any further, then you bail. Never sit at a wall for more than a half an hour to an hour. It's just not worth your time. It's more efficient to just restart, take whatever favor you've gotten, and go back and do it over again, but with more favor and thus more gold. Also, when you have when you're doing stuff, when you're doing anything, whether it's an adventure or a variant, unless it's the very first adventure in a campaign, if it's showing up as something other than green/easy on the difficulty, you probably need more favor before you attempt it. I also recommend as new players just to do adventures and not to do the variants. So the adventures are the basic. Please go to the right place. Nope, that's a time gate. I tried real hard. I did some fishing. I tried to fish for an unkindness of ravens for you all today, and I didn't get it. Adventures are these top-level adventures like this, like these top-level name things. Variants are the ones that drop down below them, right? So when you're first playing through, just do the adventures and ignore the variants, unless the game says you have to complete more variants before going forward. And then pick easy ones. But shoot for these first, and when you're doing these, get some favor out of them. But if one of these shows up and it's not green, then go back to a free play and do a free play and farm some favor, and then until this shows as green. And then once you've done just the basic storyline of a lot of this stuff, then you can go back and you have a lot of favor and a lot of blessings. Then you can go back and do the variants, and then the variants are super easy. There's no reason to bang your head against a wall over and over and make things more difficult for yourself when you can just be patient and come back later. The game does force you to do a few variants right away, but then after that it doesn't. It's that was their way of saying, hey, variants exist, maybe you should do some. But that's right at Terror in the Dark. Terror in the Dark requires you to do some. But there are some easy variants. And I have a new player reference up on the subreddit. There's a wiki on the subreddit. And you just go under Resources by Gaarawarr. There's a new player reference, which I've outlined. I'm going through on a new player account right now and updating it. But I've outlined which variants I did. Which is a list of easier variants when I was stopped like that. So I'm trying to go back and do that for all of that, so you kind of get an idea of which ones are more doable than others. Can we get anything from Timegate silver chests that we can't get from Electrum chests? No, which is why those aren't. It's not as big a deal to push super hard to get one more of those now. It used to be worth it. It used to be worth your time to push a little bit and get one more silver chest because, hey, take a few item levels, get a few extra item levels, right? Get them whatever you can. But nowadays, Electrum chests don't give purple. A grail ship, yeah, we know, but neither do silvers, and that's what they were asking about. So they have the same gear that drops out of silvers and electrums, so it's fine. So yeah, you don't have to push free play super hard to milk every last silver chest out of a time gate. Just get what you can grab easily, and then grab all 3 gold chests, and then bail. Should I start patrons as soon as I can, or wait? Once you can unlock one, do it. And then you grab a little bit of influence for them so that you can buy that time gate piece for every week, and then cruise. Because basically just dipping your toe a little bit into each patron as you can unlock them gets you that time gate piece. If you can get a little more, if you can get more influence and grab the Modron chest each week too, that's great. It is going to require that you farm up currency every week. Make some of their currency every week so you can afford to do that. But it's really good to start picking up those extra time gate pieces and Modron chests early on. I've unlocked Father of Kratos. I've unlocked Split the Party. I have 10 time gate pieces. Is it better to keep using time gate pieces for more champions, or should I start unlocking Mert? Oh, unlock Mert if you haven't unlocked Mert yet. Yeah. Yeah, again, once you can unlock a champion, because unlocking Mert and subsequent patrons gives you more time gate chests or time gate pieces each week, the sooner you do it, the better, the better, because you start that snowball, that increased gain of time gate pieces faster. Freely feat broken as in doesn't work at all. Since when? Always. So Freely's Adventurous Tale, like 80% feat, the epic one, doesn't seem to, like, it shows up as if it visually as if it's going to give you the bonus, but then when you reset, it doesn't give you the bonus. Maybe since it came out, I don't know. There's always been something a little. There's been something a little off, so it was probably always broken. You didn't mention Narak boost to Zorbu. Is that still worth the slot, or has he been overcome by the meta? I didn't. The only specific champion I mentioned was Krull, because the Krull Zorbu combination was huge. Obviously, Avrin, like Krull, Avrin, Zorbu was like basically what your core. That used to be the 3 time gate requirements. Like first you pick up Krull, then you pick up Avrin, then you pick up Zorbu out of time gates, and that used to be the thing. It's not anymore. It's still a solid setup, but you're going to want to get speed champions too. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, when it comes with Zorbu, I didn't mention specific champions, lots of specific champions, because at that point, then I'm just going to have to talk about how all 84 of them, or 83 of the others, well, not even that many, because there's some in his slot, but you get the idea. I'm not going to go over every single champion and how they work with Zorbu, because he doesn't require specific champions. He just doesn't. Unlike Ashara, where we talked about the different champions, because she requires specific types of champions. So you want to build out your formation with whatever is going to give you the best advantage. Now, could Narak do that for you? Maybe. Try him out and see. But I'm not going to say use Narak, because your Narak might be garbage. Well, I mean, you're just using Githzerai Focus, but you may have other champions that buff bigger than that bonus gets you, because your other champions may be a lot better than Narak. Because Narak literally is just, he doesn't have an item or a feat that buffs Githzerai Focus, so he just is whatever he is, and that's not necessarily a lot. Sometimes it's the best that you should get, but not always. Why is Minsk air assault? Because Boo. Minsk will throw Boo. Minsk will throw Boo into the air at someone and go for the eyes, Boo. I was awarded a costume for Brunor in the 3rd variant of a time gate. Is this a random thing or specific for that variant? It was specific for that variant. There are a handful of variants out there that exist and give you, in events, that give you costume rewards. So that was Wolfgar's time gate. That was, I believe. And then there's one for Avrin. There's one for Rosie and Strix get one out of Rosie's time gate from her, or out of her variant, but that's only if you have Strix already, because you got to use Rosie and Strix to complete that. And then there's a couple that are actually, now there's Red Panda skins that are out in the wild, just in regular campaign stuff that came out recently. Is the Celeste and Makos combo the best way to play Sergeant Nox? Isn't it worth it above other tanks in the front? It depends. I know people hate these answers sometimes, but this is the reality of this game, is that this is a very subjective game to your specific set of champions and gear. You just have to try it out and see. You have to go to a wall. So the wall is where you've built an efficient formation, like a solid formation. You've gone to the point where it gets steamrolled. Then you start trying other things. And you try different combos and see what they work and find out. It really just depends. Sergeant Nox is a good champion for a newer player, because Celeste and Makos are core, so you get those kind of triggering bonus champions automatically, and can throw him in. And he's a lower slot tank, so you get an option. We're talking over here. You get an option for a tank in slot 6, whereas Nayeli was in slot 3, and now you've got slot 6. So you didn't have to wait to slot 10 for Tyrell. So you've got that option early on. And if you're in a variant where if you're in an event or something and you need a 3-tank frontline, well, you've got Nox, Nayeli, and Tyrell, and you can run that combination with Celeste and Makos. Like, so, it's really subjective. It's really subjective to your experience. If Zorbu gets hit and Farida's Hellish Rebuke kills, does the kill count for Zorbu? I don't know. I think it's the kill for Farida, because the damage is based off Farida and not Zorbu. And why would... I mean, yeah, there's situations where Zorbu would be getting hit in that situation, but you wouldn't normally have Farida in supporting Zorbu, or vice versa. So I don't know, Sir Kaladin, because that's real. Yeah, I don't know. When do tier 5 blessings kick in, please? I don't know. I'm not a developer. Who will be the third DPS meta? Honestly, right now it feels more like it's Ashara, and if not Ashara, then it's Zorbu, and if it's not Zorbu, then it's just whoever else you happen to have. I don't know that there's a standout third DPS. There are definitely people who have pumped outrageous amounts of item levels into certain DPS and would say that that's that's the next one, but Rosie meta next. Oh, I wish Rosie got a buff and became the meta DPS. That would be fantastic. That would be the true revenge of Grandmother Night. Does anyone know why my Star Silk Hair Familiar Pack has 2 shiny cards in it when it doesn't list shiny cards as one of the items? Let's go look. It doesn't, because it offers no chests. So whatever you got that from came from something else. So Star Silk is $5, offers 6 potions. If you got chests from somewhere that are giving you shiny potions, or got potions of polish, it came from somewhere other than this. It came from somewhere other than this. You're going to have to figure out what that purchase was. Should I open chests as a new player? Gasoline89, yes. Yes. Like, the moment you get them. There's no need to sit on them. They include gear and power upgrades, as well as potions and contracts. Get that stuff. Use it. Spend your gems on chests. Buy chests. Open them. Open them. Don't ask about an Archon meta. Gaarawarr will get Arcanoid. I did a pun joke once about like turn him from Arcant into Arcan. I still like that. I can't remember what that's in. Maybe that was formation building. I'm blurred. Not on any of my screens. That may be you. If you have Twitch set to auto adjust quality, it'll do that. But I mean, Archon. We already did Archon and Artemis to a certain degree in. It's on YouTube now. Gaarawarr's Guide to Advanced Formation Strategies. We talked about how Archon and Artemis are build formations functionally in different ways to utilize them. So that information's already out there. You just got to look it up. It's under Advanced Formation Strategies on the YouTubes. On the YouTubes. Let's see. What level should I get Zorbu's hatred to before I would be good to go? You mean lifelong enemies. Again, lifelong enemies is what you're focusing on, and it's EO5 kills or higher. Is favor good for damage too, or just for gold find? Favor boosts your gold find. Well, favor buys blessings, which boost all kinds of things, and favor boosts your gold find, which helps you do more damage by buying more upgrades until you run out of upgrades. Like here, when you get to this point where there's a circle and a line through it, more favor isn't going to get you a lot more damage. It won't get you significantly more damage like it used to on champions. Now you can't over level. I've done that here. Zorbu's cap is 830, and now we're looking at 1721 because I have an outrageous amount of favor in Sword Coast, so I can over level him over twice what he is and get him a nice damage boost. But generally speaking, you're not gonna get a big increase. You need to get power from other places after that, like perks and Modron cores, and the upcoming Trials of Mount Tiamat. Wow, that was a segue. Trials of Mount Tiamat was announced this week. It's the upcoming asynchronous multiplayer cooperative system. So not PvP, folks. Not raids where you have to coordinate and show up at a certain time or anything. This is just, it's like the rest of this game. It's things you can set up and run in the background, but you're semi-coordinating to a very small degree with other players. And the rewards from that, some of the rewards from that, or at least one of the rewards from that, are as Dragon Scales, which you use to upgrade gear to Legendary status. So more power coming with that later this year. More information on that coming. There's a good post on the subreddit by Dan with a bunch of letters after their name. I'm sorry, I can't remember it off the top of my head. It's Saturday morning for me. Go check that out. It was a pretty good compilation of information. I like those things. I do those things, so I like it when other people do them because then I don't have to. How high did you have your item level floor before you dumped blacksmithing contracts into Human and Briv? 90. 90, but if I were, I mean, again, that's because I was basically already there before I finally decided, okay, I'm going to dump a ton into Human. It could be significantly lower for most people. Because dumping those item levels into Human and Briv give you a return of more item levels for everyone, right? By giving you more gems. But that's once you're into the gem farming phase of your Idle Champion's career, I guess. One thing I did wait for on Human was specifically to get a slot 6 epic and shiny so that when it capped, I wouldn't waste a lot of item levels. So I did wait for that, but I got lucky on that, right? And I don't think I have that for... Oh, I did. Oh, and then I bought this. I still don't know if this was a wise decision. But they did say recently on a Developer Insights that they are looking to refund these over-capped item levels. So I figured now's a good time to finally pop for the ultimate cooldown GE, because that reduces the item level and would refund me even more item levels than just the shiny would. Plus, I got a push and a polish back for it, so that was nice. Item level floor now goes up automatically from Electrums, patron chests, etc. So why would you waste contracts on random champs? I'm Corvette because I build a floor. Because I look at my champions and I want them to have a minimum level of power for all my champions across the board. so that when I go out and I do variants, all the different patron variants, that I have the best possible chance to use any of those champions. I don't have to worry, well, which one has the most item levels, which one's going to be... I can just build my formations and test stuff out and find out. And I'm not walking in with an undergeared, underperforming champion. That's just how I personally play the game. I like it that way, so I'm going to keep doing it. So when I get a new champion, I hunt for full epic. Once I get full epic, then I dump blacksmithing contracts to bring them up to whatever my current floor is. That's just the way I do it. Now, my floor originally started off at like, I don't know, 50 maybe, 40 or 50. I think it was 50. And as I was able to get more and more blacksmithing contracts and jump up to, raise it up for everyone to the next 10, then I did that over time. I've been at 90 for a while, but that's because I started bumping tons of contracts into Human. I still don't have enough in him or Briv. My Briv is still only a 2-skip, so... But that's because I don't use Briv, really, for gem farming, because I don't script. I just started. Who should I unlock with my first time gate? Ithrasis, you have a natural time gate weekend right now, so it depends on which 3 you were offered. You can throw those into chat if you haven't made your selection yet, and we will give you our opinion. Beyond that, if you're talking about your first manual time gate where you're paying 6 time gate pieces, I still like Krull. But Avron's generally probably the better all-around pick first. But I really like Krull's snowball effect with gold and power early on for new players. But with the Shara now becoming this big deal, it's probably better just to go with Avron. Probably better for Avron. What about opening chests if everyone only gives duplicates, as you'd only have the first set of 10 to 15 heroes unlocked? Yeah, you still want to open chests quietly, because opening chests and getting duplicates give you item levels on those items that they are duplicates of. That's how you raise your power of your core and evergreen champions. You don't want to use blacksmithing contracts on your core and evergreen champions. You don't want to do that. Because you get all of these item levels off these silver and gold chests from duplicates. So you just keep doing it. You just keep buying chests and you keep opening them. If you want instructions on what we think are the best kind of path to think about on how to open that, you can hit exclamation point GVA in chat. Mars and I teamed up to make a visual aid that talks about how to spin gems. Yeah. Oh, Ithrasis. Baelith, Paltman, Krond. Everybody said Baeloth, and they're right. Yeah, Baeloth. Getting rid of Jarlaxle and switching to Baeloth is going to be huge for you. When is the right time to save 500k gems for the 3rd Modron core? After you've unlocked both the other Modron cores and gotten them both to level 15. And have nothing else you really majorly want to do with gems. Would be my general recommendation. However, if you are someone who absolutely loves strength-based DPS champions, and you've built your formations around strength-based DPS champions, like Krond, you probably want to get it sooner, because that's the core for strength-based DPS champions. What is Split the Party? Split the Party is an adventure that unlocks multi-party mode and Modron automation and Modron buffs, the Modron minigame. It unlocks once you have 2 champions in every slot. So, making choices about time gates based around, giving you second option in those slots is one thing early players should keep in mind. While also picking up evergreen champions, which are free, and then unlocking all the event champions. But that's one way to plan out how you're picking your early time gates, is to make sure you're getting something that you need a second in. Yeah. Switch Jarlaxle for Baeloth? If you have it, yeah. If you've... when you're a brand new player, Jarlaxle is your DPS, but you quickly will move out of Jarlaxle DPS into... like a Shara or Hitch. You can go right into a Shara and a Shara with Makos, as I explained last week, a Shara with Makos and Tyrell gives you lights up her first bond for her in her potpourri spec, and then she just becomes your primary DPS at that point. And at that point, having Jarlaxle in your formation is only giving gold find. He doesn't provide any support buffs. So switching to Baloth, who provides some incredible support for you while also giving you lots of gold find, is the better option to go. Let's see. I thought the strength buffs were the same as the normal core, and the difference was it buffs melee champs. Well, in Dungeons and Dragons, melee champs are strength-based champs. So if you're using a strength-based DPS, they are a melee DPS, and thus you want to use the strong core. We don't have, to my knowledge, we don't have any int or charisma-based like melee DPS. Maybe we do. I don't know, but usually that's a strength thing. What are cheap familiars? I have 4 so far. Well, you open up the shop if you're looking for cash, and you look for the cheapest. Right now, that's the Star Silk, the chimeric hair that they, or the, yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, that chimeric hair, $5. Slink, the Gramesha familiar, $5. If you haven't bought it already, there are sales right now. It should be Xanathar's Goldfish should be like $2. I'm talking US. If you're somewhere else, it obviously converts, but yeah. So for cash, those are the cheap ones. Otherwise, you're picking up whatever the cheapest gem familiar is at the time. I broke it again. Whatever the cheapest gem familiar is at the time, and then patrons are going to give familiars too. What is the map or scroll that shows up on a character on the battlefield with 3 question marks on it? I don't know what that means. Dubious dub. Can you be a little more descriptive of what we're talking about? I don't know the context of that. I don't know the context of that question. Yeah, someone's saying it sounds like it's an icon from a variant. It's currently on your Spurt and Black Viper. Read your variant rules. So come up here to the top right, hover over this arrow, and read whatever the rules are for the adventure you're in, and see if there's something that they've done with that variant, because a lot of times they communicate this by icons and characters. You need to read what's going on. That's your first thing. Otherwise, you're going to have to go to the Discord, take a picture, and post the screenshot in the Discord and have somebody help you out. Because just off the top of my head, I have no idea what that is. What is the point of diminishing returns for item levels on Human and Briv? The point is that so that it isn't overpowering. Diminishing returns in general is so that you eventually just put things somewhere else, because there's no point in going further. Like, diminishing returns overall and exists on item levels for all characters, because, well, just because that's good balance in games. You should never just go all in. Like, generally speaking, you shouldn't go all in on just one character, because if that character then gets changed, you're highly likely to throw something and not play anymore. For a new player, what would you recommend the best process for farming gear? Just play the game. Just play the game. You play the game, you're going to just normally work your way through adventures, complete variants after when they show as green, and you think you can do them. And you're going to earn tons of gems. And then you turn those gems into chests. When you're brand new, you turn them into silver chests, and then after you've got at least green gear, then you start buying. I think we put at least blue gear before, but once you've got at least green, I think then you just go into gold chests, and then you do that almost like forever, ad infinitum. Actually, yeah, they put GVAs in the chat. You can read that. That gives our thoughts on it. For the most part, this needs updated, but updating visual aids is harder than me updating a text post. So the Mage Hand Familiar should be bought right away. Literally, like after you get out of the tutorial, you probably got enough gems to buy the Mage Hand, and you should just buy it because it's not 1,000 anymore. It's 250. And then after that, I think that's mostly correct. But like I said, I think if I were going to change anything, I would say start buying gold chests once you're at greens, minimum greens. New player without non-core. My first time get their Ayla Barrow Freely. Who should I go after? Ooh, you've got two really strong characters there, either Ayla or Freely. Either way, I don't think you'd go wrong. I am going to say Freely, though. I'm going to say Freely, because getting you a swap from Minsk. Minsk is very swingy. He's only really good as a support against his favorite enemies. And Freely will be good against everyone. So yeah, pick Freely if you haven't made a choice already. Ayla is my pick for the best tank in the game, but Makos is going to do you really good as support for fleshing out your Ashara bonds earlier. So Freely's going to get you the better overall progress as a brand new player. I'm having a hard time getting past stage 400 450 in any adventure. Any suggestions on how to get past this wall? Well, you're probably soft capping. Like here, you've got the circle with a line through it. So that means you need to get power in other places. You need to work on your patron perks and upgrading your patron perks. You need to work on your Modron cores and upgrading your Modron cores and your flow, right? Leveling that up. That's how you're going to be getting power. You need to work on getting full epic on the champions you're using. That kind of stuff. That's when things slow down. Once you hit the point where favor isn't really helping you anymore, is giving you significant boosts, you have to get that power from other places, and those are the other places. Dinar or Barrowin? Dinar. Krull or Walnut? Krull. I have Paulton as my alternate to Jarlaxle. Is he a better option than Jarlaxle? Yes, because Paulton gives gold find and also supports your team. Should I swap out Shandy for Ashara early on? Well, you use Shandy as your speed champion just to kind of get to the point where you're not instantly killing everything anymore, and then you use Ashara as your DPS. Who is best out of Cathris, Wolfgar, or Lucius? Cathris. Turiel, Ishi, or Sasaspia? Turiel. If I have Shandy and I'm using Jarlaxle as my DPS, should I lose Baloth and switch Shandy for Ashara? Yes. Warden, Krond, or Toragar? Warden. Late to the stream, auto-clicking doesn't help Zorbu's count, right? Correct, because he's not killing it when a familiar kills it. He has to be killing it. He only gets credit for what he kills, so he has to be the one killing things. I currently have 2 familiars. Are they worth going after or stick with gold chests? Picking up a third is solid. You should be able to pick up a third. I can't remember the growth. It should be Mage Hand at 250. Is the Pixie at the next one at 10, and then the third's 50,000? Is that correct, folks? It doesn't tell me because I already have them. I'm trying to remember this just off memory. There's a 30k one? Okay, if there's a 30k one, then go up to the 30. Juniper's 30k. Okay, so go Mage Hand, Pixie. So 250, 10k, 30k. I will say it's going to take you a while. Probably once you start clearing Tomb of Annihilation and working through to try to get Azaka and Dragonbait, you'll earn a lot of gems in there real quick. So you'll be able to do that 10k one and that 30k one really quick once you're into Tomb of Annihilation. So do that. Do that. For some reason, the 30k one wouldn't show for me until after I'd gotten the 50k one. If it didn't show up at all, I think they're listed. I think the 50k is listed first and the 30k is listed second. And that's because that's how they got added to the game, and they've never fixed that. But it should have shown up. It should have been visible. If it not, submit a bug. That seems problematic. Did you say yesterday? Oh, also, Mr. Brewski says, if you got $2 to throw at the game, like I said, Xanathar's Goldfish is on sale right now with the retirement sale for like $2. So that's another way to get that third familiar real quick. Did you say yesterday that you need to finish Avernus to be eligible for Tiamat? Yes. You need to have finished the storyline in Descent into Avernus. So that means the base adventures. So like I've been talking about before about, do base adventures first. Don't worry about the variants. Those base top level adventures all the way through. And the final one, I believe, is El Terrell's Last Stand, where spoiler alert, you face off against Tiamat. That's how this whole Trials of Mount Tiamat thing comes about. Should I save my gems for 50k and 70k gem familiars? If you are accumulating them quickly and you are already full blue, like at least your minimum gear level on your core and evergreen champions is blue, there's no whites or greens or, heaven forbid, empty spots showing, then I would think it's okay to start saving up, to start saving up for a 50k or a 70k familiar. But really, just if you're seeing that you're earning lots of gems because you're clearing out lots of adventures and stuff. How do we upgrade items from rare, epic, etc.? You open chests. You open chests and loot higher rarities. That's it. What chest is best to buy with gems, silver or gold? It depends on what part of your progress you're in. So you can get more bounty contracts, so you can unlock Strahd. Golds. Just going to say go with golds, if that's what you're trying to do, because you're going to need all the things that come out of golds for Strahd. Cthulhu, Artemis, or Regis? Regis. Who's the character that looks like 1970s Storm? I'm guessing we were talking... Was that when I was talking Ayla? I don't know. That doesn't... I don't know what... I didn't read comics in the 70s, so I don't know what 1970s Storm is. Bench... Oh, here! Oh, this is Ariza. This is Ariza in her pirate outfit. There's normal Ariza. I was like, I don't know what that reference means. Is Torm favor the best place to dump all the event time gate favor earned? Not initially, no. Only once you have completed once you have all the favor you need for the other campaigns, would you then start dumping it into Torm. Early on, for a new player, you want to take your time gate and your event conversions and dump them into whatever campaign you're currently actively trying to complete, that you're not already soft capping your champions on. Because that's where it's going to be instantly useful. In free time gates, I chose Torgar because I liked how he looked. Awesome. Is he a good character by chance? He's okay. He's really cool looking. Probably better as support-ish for new player. Actually, you know what? I don't know because I don't use him a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, he's neat. Do blacksmith contract to start over, Gaarawarr. Do blacksmith contracts stop landing on items that have max levels? So capped, like I showed off some of my capped items earlier, like the slot 6 ultimate cooldowns. If they are capped, duplicates don't go there anymore, and blacksmithing contracts don't go there anymore. That's one of the benefits of hitting that cap. Which is why I really like it when I get a shiny on my slot 6 on a champion if I haven't hit the cap yet, because that means I'm going to hit the cap quicker and flesh out the rest of their stuff faster. Where do you find the second and third Modron cores? So after you've done split the party and you've gotten your modest core, split the party 2 grants you, which is 3 champions in each slot, grants you your fast Modron core. After that, you have to buy the strong Modron core for 500k. But leave that to last. Again, unless you're focusing on those strength-based DPS champions. On Mert, and I will guess all the patrons, what is the difference between local perks and global perks? Local is when you are doing Mert, like that patron's variance. So you have them activated and you're doing that patron's variance. So when you're doing a patron's variance, you should make sure that you have reset your blessings and then focused more on the local side than the global side. When you are doing anything else, you want to reset those perks and put them more into global so that you take their power and use it elsewhere. Because they apply global applies everywhere else. I have a piece of white gear that's been duped multiple times. Would a base level piece of green gear still be better? Well, they're separate things. They're separate things. So an item slot has multiple different modifiers that can be in that item slot. So the lowest rarity gear is white. Item levels accrue and remain regardless of what rarity level there is. So once you have an item in that slot, well, you're just going to, for this demonstration purpose, we're going to say you get a white. And it starts building up item levels. When you get an upgraded rarity, like 2 green, you get that green multiplier, which has a larger multiplier than the white base multiplier, plus you keep all the item levels. And that goes, white, green, blue, purple currently. So common, uncommon, rare, and epic are the current things. Legendary comes later. It hasn't arrived in the game yet. Then, so item levels go up and stick around regardless. It's always going to apply the highest rarity multiplier. And then you have gilding. So you can be ungilded, or you can have a shiny, or you can have a golden. And this is a separate multiplier. So this is a 50% bonus to the slot, and this is a 100% bonus to the slot. So those are just separate additional multipliers. Is this still your Zorbu pushing formation or just for farming? Oh, this is just for sitting here and killing drow relentlessly that I threw in. Hey, it did go up. We were at 3.66 earlier, and now I'm up to 3.85. Hey, I'm actually seeing progress. Gear for freely is not available through silver or gold chests, right? Correct, but gear does drop out of electrums, and lately you get like 25 or more electrums a week if you're collecting them all. If you're paying attention to the combinations channel in Discord, it's about 25 or more each week. Otherwise, the Freely's gear is going to come out of patron chests that he qualifies for, or his specific name chest that you get from time gates or his event. How does the game determine Zorbu's hate stack gain when he's in a background party? It's just a simulation. It's running a simulation, and it's going to calculate a rough estimate of how many things are dying. But that number is going to be lower than if you were actively farming, and even then maybe a little off because, again, it's a simulation. So I don't know the exact math formulas. How important is it to get feats for champs when you're just starting? It's nice. I don't know that it's necessarily your focus early on, because early on you want to spend your gems on just getting gear, period. So silvers, and then getting golds so that you get all blue. Once you've got at least all blue, then you can start making decisions about, well, do I want that 12,500 gem feat that I see? Like, is that going to help me with that champion or not? The 50k ones are bigger purchases, and that's if you're making lots of gems and you're okay with purchasing that. Otherwise, just buying lots of gold chests is going to give you a chance to get those gold chest feats. And remember, the feats that come out of chests are different. It's a different pool than the ones that you buy with gems. So you need to figure out which are going to do best for the characters you're using. And focus on that. Is there a reason to leave a time gate open if I'm done with it? No. Just go ahead and close it and you'll get the conversion immediately. So items cap at having a certain power value contribution. Slot 6 specifically is ultimate cooldown reduction. There is a hard cap on that in this game at 75%. So when your totals have reached a 75% reduction in the time of the ultimate that it takes to cooldown, that item then is capped and will no longer get duplicates or whatever. So the higher the rarity you have, the faster that's going to cap. And if it's gilded or not, that's going to make it cap faster. So yes, there are some exceptions outside of those ultimate cooldown reduction items. Like Sentry has an item that gives you a % chance to reduce the number of like the goal for the next level. And once you get that % chance to reach 100, so that it's guaranteed, that item caps. Ayla or Krull? In this meta, Ayla, because Ayla is functional with Ashara and Krull is not. I just spent some blacksmith contracts on Human, where some landed on the 6th slot. Well, my time didn't change. Is this a bug? Your cooldown timer? It just may not have... You may not have got enough levels for it to actually have reduced another second off the cooldown timer. Yeah. Focus on gems. On gem pets. Familiars first or chests? Again, it depends. Exclamation point GVA in chat and review that visual aid. Chests initially with like you alternate is ultimately what I'm saying is you have to look at the costs and figure out how much you're earning and go from there. Does using patron influence on perks consume it? No, it does not. No, it does not. So the shop is based off the high watermark of the total favor you've ever earned. It has nothing to do with what you spend on perks. So once you get influence, spend it on perks. Which perks have the biggest impact fastest? Well, the largest ones. Generally speaking, when you unlock Mert as your first patron, and he should be your first patron unless you just ignored buying chests and opening chests, which some people do. But the first thing you want to target with Mert is his challenge accepted perk, because that's going to make your currency gains from doing the weekly challenges for patrons increase, and thus get you more currency to spend overall. Outside of that, whatever the biggest ones are. They're pretty straightforward. They list them all out for you. Is Sleece a better slot 12 tank than Archon? For tanking, yes. Archon is not... Archon can tank, but he is a DPS champion. He exists to do damage. He can just also take damage as well. He does not really contribute. He has like a gold find item, which is and he can health share in a pinch, but he doesn't provide support buffs to your party, so he's not a support tank. Sleece is a support tank. Sleece can actually line up in slot. If you need a tank out of slot 12 that contributes to other people doing damage, Sleece is the better tank. What's my favorite D&D race? Dwarves. How do you know how long to stay against the wall? A half an hour to an hour max. And then bail. Go do something else with your time. I know I'm caught up to live in chat. That was 88 questions, folks. Which is more than we usually do, but we got out of the tutorial part early. So what's coming up next week? Agaron's Day. Agaron's Day is arriving next week. If you haven't seen it yet, they leaked. They've already on Thursday they did all kinds of stuff. They made announcements. We call them spoilers, but they revealed the plans for the entire rest of this year. And then yesterday they posted the champion spotlight for Prudence, who is the next arriving champion. Prudence will be the new champion, and Omen and Jim from Acquisitions Inc. will return for Agaron's Day. Everyone can pronounce it however they want. I don't think there's anything out of the ordinary happening stream-wise next week. At least that I'm aware of. So yeah, that's the big news. Again, all the other stuff like Trials of Mount Tiamat and stuff, they've just given us basic information. They have told everybody, hey, that's in closed player testing. So there are some of us actively testing that, but we can't really talk about it. So grab that information out of Dan's post on the Reddit if you want to learn more about what has been revealed about Trials of Mount Tiamat. And I would say, please understand that it is in testing information that people have pulled, like data mined out. Like if people are talking about this is how it works and that and this is blah, they are either talking about data mine information or they're extrapolating based off what's been revealed. That's not necessarily what's going to actually launch. All early info is subject to change, and oh boy, can it ever. The last time we beta tested a major feature like this was for Modrons and multi-party, and yeah, some stuff changed before release. What else? We're going to be going out on another song. This isn't a song for Zorbu. We did Zorbu's song at the break, but this is related to Zorbu. This is Hive Mind, because Zorbu's got a Mind Flayer skin. So of course we're going to go out on Hive Mind. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Oh wait, we did have one last question. It's the quickest best way to get Time Gate event champions gears made epic. You just have to go gear them up. Like, you either have to farm Time Gates, or you have to open patron chests. That's how you get epic gear on those champions. That's going to be everything. Have a good weekend. Streams on this channel. I think there's rebroadcasts of stuff now. So there may be rebroadcasts you can watch, but the new streams will return on Tuesday. I will be doing a stream tomorrow on my channel, on my new player account, unlocking Azaka. So if you are a newer player and you want to see how to take on Azaka's unlock mission, that's Azaka's Procession Part 2. I'll be doing that live on my channel tomorrow, with core champions only, so that you can get it done. So join me tomorrow. You're just gonna have to either subscribe to my channel or follow my channel or follow me on Twitter for when I go live. All right, bye everybody. Have a good weekend.
Open up your mind and be free. No more pain, no more sorrow for thee. At the end of time, the universe is ours. Join us as we sail across the stars. Take our hands, you'll never be alone again. We will be your only friends. Across the march of time, we subjugate the weak and strong. Your mind can't resist, so why not come along? Ever growing, all consuming, no resisting, thoughts subsume me. Such a tasty treat. Your memories exist for us to eat. Hopes and dreams are sour, but fears and doubts are sweet. We relish in your flavors of defeat.